Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Haak. I'm a senior technology reporter at Politico. It's great to have you all with us today. Artificial intelligence is advancing rapidly, and the governance and regulation of this nascent technology appears sometimes to be an afterthought. Even the EU has shifted from regulation to catching up in the global race. But in a few weeks, the India AI Impact Summit will put the spotlight again on governance and building, as already said, trustworthy AI, and it will give us a taste on the global discussion around AI. In today's spotlight discussion, we will go into AI diplomacy and into the global desire that we have lately to become AI sovereign. I'm joined here on stage by MEP Brando Benifei, who was one of the European Parliament's lawmakers on the AI Act. We have Max Reddel, who is the Advanced AI Director at the Center for Future Generations. We have Lindsay Crossdale Appleby, and also hoping that I'm pronouncing that correctly, Ambassador and Head of the UK Mission at the EU. And then finally, we have Saurabh Kumar, India's Ambassador to the EU, Belgium and Luxembourg. Before we dive into it, I want to give a quick reminder that at the end, we will have a Q&A, so you can already start thinking about your questions. And I really want to challenge the female part of the audience to think about their questions, because I'm well aware that we're here with 5 men on stage. Sorry for that. So definitely a challenge for them. Before we also get to discussion, I want to hear what the room is thinking. And we will do that through a poll, which is presented by Akkodis. The question of that poll is, and I'm not really sure if it's, oh yeah, it's there on the big screen as well. Which geopolitical priority should the EU focus on for AI leadership? I all see that you're already well known with the QR code, the scanning. So go ahead, fill in the poll. And while you do that, we will go into the discussion, of course. And I want to kick it off with you, of course, Mr. Ambassador. I will have to make clear which ambassador I'm pointing to today. The Indian ambassador. India is this year's host of the annual, by now, Global AI Summit. I think we're all curious here in the audience to know what will be the focus of this year's AI Summit. Where is India going to double down on?
Yeah, so thank you very much for this opportunity to be on this panel. This, of course, as all of you know, would be the 4th in the series of AI summits which are taking place. This is the first one which would be held in Global South. What we have tried to do, and Prime Minister was very keen on this, to give it a larger focus, also include in it some of the concerns of the Global South. But most importantly, what he believes in very firmly is democratization of technology and, in a sense, democratization of artificial intelligence. So one of the political objectives with which the government moves ahead is what we call in Hindi, our language, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. That is, all of us move together and all of us develop together. So in a sense, democratization of AI becomes hugely important. There would be 7 themes, for this summit. I have them listed out here. I'll just read them out. Human capital would be the first focus area. Inclusion for social empowerment would be the other area. Safe and trusted AI is the third area. AI for innovation and efficiency is another area. AI for science is another area. Democratization of AI resources, as I just mentioned. And lastly, AI for economic growth and social good. So these would be the themes. We have, as of now, around 15 to 16 head of states and governments which have confirmed participation. Over 100 CEOs of major companies would be participating in all over 100 plus countries. Very briefly, just to touch upon the India-EU bit of it, we had a very successful summit, and as an integral part of our agenda with the EU is science and technology. We had an agreement on science and technology, which was renewed. But also, the entire spectrum of the digital domain, which includes artificial intelligence. We had our Trade and Technology Council meeting, which was held last year, and the digital working group was held in December last year. And trustworthy, sustainable, and human-centric AI is very much a part of the focus of our cooperation with the European Union, and we have a rich agenda out there. And development of human capital and collaboration in the human capital is, I think, very centric.
We will go a bit deeper into that EU relationship later. If you say democratization of AI, can you make that a bit more specific? What exactly do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think we are a developing country. We would like the country to grow. The less privileged sections of the society to have access to technology, and in a sense, the capabilities of AI reaching everybody. So just to give you one example, you have gigafactories, which you are working on out here. We are working on common computing capacity. So this is the capacity which would be available to everybody.
Everyone, to make it
everybody in India. Yeah. So I think to give a layman's analogy, I think rather than building cities, we are building highways which would spread across the country, and everybody can make use of it.
A team that I hear a lot here is getting access, of course, to the technology, making sure that the technology is rightly adopted. I maybe want to go to the UK ambassador. You hosted not you, but UK hosted back in 2023 the first AI summit in Bletchley Park. Back then it was very focused on safety, governance, making sure that this technology is being rolled out in a safe way. Now it's all a bit more about, last year Paris was the Action Summit, now we have the Impact Summit, making the technology accessible. Do you notice a shift in how these summits are being organized?
Well, good morning everyone, it's very nice to be here. I suppose my starting point would be that I just think it's a very positive sign that it has become a series of summits, and I think it's very positive that a country as significant as India is bringing a particular perspective to it. I think we did start with a focus on security. I think that's an important part of kind of the legitimacy around developing global norms on AI, which is what we were trying to do through security institutes. There's now a network of security institutes around the world. The UK one collaborates very closely with the Indian one, and of course we collaborate very closely with the EU. So I think you move what is an adaptable theme forward, and I think innovation and impact have become more important. So for me, it's part of getting to a global process which creates these things that people talk about trust and legitimacy. But how do you do that? You create that by doing things together. And if there's a message that I think it's important, is that both on the security side and on the innovation side, we need to focus on collaborations that work. So, for example, for us, it's very important that we have French investment in the UK, for example, through Mistral. It's very important that we're working together on high-performance computing with Stuttgart and Edinburgh using Horizon. So I think the way you build trust is you build collaborations, and I think that is the kind of leadership that we in Europe can create, is by having partnerships with key international partners, not seeing it as kind of islands in the world.
But it was already mentioned earlier, the geopolitical dynamics have changed rapidly. We have the US that has thrown out big chunks of their AI safety rules. Would you say that it's now much more difficult to build these ties and these collaborations, given the US position?
I think that there's a lot of US interest in investment in Europe. I mean, we've done a AI...
In investment, but also in safety and governance?
Yes, that's right. That's right. There's a lot of investment about how they can operate in Europe successfully, because Europe and the UK are huge markets for this technology as well. And I think for the tech companies, they're interested in ways that they can build their legitimacy within the European market as well. So don't see it as a black and white thing. I do think it's one of these areas where Europe's approach, we have an approach to AI regulation in the UK, which is based on the kind of diversity of regulators that we have. The EU has a more integrated single system, but I think both of those approaches in different ways can build confidence. And it's building confidence around consumers that will bring the investment in the longer term. But I don't think that's just about trying to do the same as everyone else around the world. I think it is about building collaborations that play to our strengths, not necessarily trying to mimic the strengths of others. Thanks.
You mentioned Europe's approach, but Europe's approach is also shifting because, for example, in 2023, at the time of the UK summit, Mr. Benifei was negotiating the AI Act. Now we already have the AI Omnibus on the table, AI simplification package. Some of the rules that were adopted back then are already going to be rolled back. That's a shift, right?
Well, sorry.
Yeah, that's a question for
Okay.
Mr. Benifei.
Well, if they will be rolled back, we have to see. Because,
yeah.
we have the co-legislators that just started their work in these hours, in fact, Parliament and Council. To be honest, the AI omnibus is not, in the proposal of the Commission, such a huge change, to be frank. You see in the other omnibus, the data omnibus, much more far-reaching proposals. But obviously it will be a debate for the next months. But I think that, as you have been saying, and as we heard, things are changing in time, and if I may say, on the same line on what we have seen changing with the summits. I've been myself to the Paris one. I will be in the India Impact Summit. My impression is that the shift is going more and more towards less, we could say, upstream, closed debate on safety issues. Maybe Blechy was very much about that because that was the time for that. Today we are looking more into the development, and so how we can bring AI into application in our economic sectors of today. I was in India at the end of October preparing the work for the Parliament side on the trade agreement, and in fact the issue of application of AI instruments and AI systems seems to me a quite interesting convergence of debate with the EU today. EU today is concentrating on not only the increasing the computing capability, we know that with the AI factories and gigafactories, but also with the apply AI strategy. So the idea that we can increase our AI uptake in building more productivity and more opportunity through the use of AI in sectors that today in Europe are not using it to its potential. And I think that building coalitions with willing countries to work on common rules on how we apply AI will be a very important endeavor for the next.
Is the US still a willing country? And I only want a yes or no.
I think we can't avoid talking with the US.
Okay. Mr. Reddell, I want to turn to you. Your organization is very focused on advancing what you often call trustworthy AI. Would you say, it was already mentioned a lot, there is a shift in how the summits are approached. Would you say that there is still momentum to speak about safety, governance? It seems a bit out of fashion, right? That's a long thing.
I think we're moving kind of full circle, at least that's what I expect. I think it made sense from a historic perspective. There was a lot of focus on safety in Bletchley, and then we moved to other aspects in Seoul and action in Paris and impact now in India. But overall, you can also see, I think it was mentioned that there is not a lot of maybe trust in applying AI. But I think for AI, trust needs to be deserved, right? It needs to be trustworthy, actually. And I think this is not necessarily guaranteed. I think it really depends on what kind of AI you're talking about more generally. But specifically, if you talk about general purpose AI systems that we are using, that we're building, like our other applications and sectoral applications on, then there's really little in terms of trustworthiness, reliability. I think it's improving slowly, but it's like very little. So I think generally, I expect there to be a shift. The more we apply AI, the more uptake there is, the more reliable it has to be, the more trustworthy. Otherwise, it will just fail, and people will abandon it again.
Yeah. So are you saying that trustworthy AI is also important for the adoption and the access of it?
Yes.
It was already mentioned
even
here.
more so, actually, now that it's actually really, we see more of an uptake. I think it's becoming more relevant even to look at reliability.
It was already mentioned here, like everyone wants to have its own AI lately. The US has its own AI, China has its own AI. Europe wants to do it also with the AI content plan, AI apply AI strategy, and the AI gigafactories. I want to learn from you, Mr. Ambassador, how does India wants to offer a perspective to the world at the summit, what the global south of the India stack looks like?
Yeah, so I think as has already been mentioned, I think our primary focus is on applications, which again links up to democratization of the artificial intelligence, how we can bring benefit to the population at large with it. Let me also just touch upon the safety and the trustworthy aspect of it. So while the focus is on applications, I think the safety aspects are kind of not being pushed to the background. They are very much there. In fact, the two presidents were in India, and I can tell you in the conversations they had with our Prime Minister, this aspect was right on top. So having things like some kind of a watermark for AI-generated products, things like in critical areas, human being the final decision-making authority for a complex decision which might be generated. These are the kind of things on which thought was given.
But do you think that if we speak about safety and governance, will it feature prominently in, for example, the summit and the summit declaration?
Yeah, safety is very much, I think I read out to you the 7 themes, and safety was very much a part of it.
Okay. About sovereignty, the EU, we already heard a bit about rolling out the idea of AI gigafactories, the apply AI strategy, etc. Mr. Ambassador, the UK has been making some approachment to the EU, for example, through Horizon Europe, etc. Is there a way for the UK and the EU to team up together to have some sort of European sovereignty or European AI sovereignty?
Yes, I think that's right. I mean, I think we have a partnership on AI with the US. We have a partnership with India. We also signed a free trade agreement with India. But it is the case that we have a whole series of compatible research networks with the European Union and with the countries in the European Union. And amazing innovation is coming out of those all the time. As I said, we're going to do high-performance computing together. I think that many collaborations that are built across Europe and have been built historically are because we work across together the whole of Europe. Certainly, we had the Trade Commissioner and the Economy Commissioner in London yesterday, and absolutely we were talking about how you can provide support to startups, how you can bring applications to market in a way that really works for people. But for those collaborations, we will also be, the strength of European collaboration will be also collaborating with other parts of the world. European values, I don't think, are a unique European thing. There are very strong values in India, there are very strong values in countries like Mexico and Brazil as well. We will all have different perspectives. And I think the key is to make sure the products that we're producing and the applications draw on the strengths of the different areas. Trying to create a kind of fully vertically integrated structure around AI is not going to be the most efficient model for the kind of strengths that Europe and the UK have. But I'm very positive that there is a very positive attitude towards collaboration across the EU and the UK. And that, of course, is underpinned by Erasmus, by Horizon Europe, by a whole range of specific programs and projects that we run together.
That's a welcome message for the EU, I can imagine. But Mr. Benifei, are you confident that the EU is going fast enough to make sure that it can be technologically sovereign?
No, I don't think so.
That's clear.
I think we are lacking the political will, the attention in the agenda of this. There is a lot of blabbering about this, a lot of summits, a lot of meetings where we use important words like sovereignty, but then the rolling of the story is very slow. It's limited by political fragmentation, by lack of centralized implementation, by short-termism linked to elections, by the lack of an integrated financial market at EU level, by the lack of attention to avoid duplication of initiatives. In fact, if we look at some big European countries, they are doing the same that they could do together on different areas of the Eurostack context. So I think we are very far from what we should be doing. Things are moving slowly and better than going in the wrong direction altogether. But I think we are not there. And
yet there is a tax sovereignty package coming in April from the Commission. What do you expect from that?
I expect that we say the things clearly to the member states, that they should accept what Draghi was saying yesterday at Leuven, that as long as the EU is moving as a fragmented confederation, we will never be a real actor in all of this. I mean, I think it's a very political thing. It's not technical, because we have the talents, we have the technological capabilities. We are not having the political will to do what is needed. And I think that, again, Mr. Draghi was extremely clear yesterday. I hope there will be less talking about the Draghi report
And more doing, yeah.
Yeah, more
United
doing
States
in the
of Europe.
What
That sounds like something that a former Belgian prime minister once said. Mr. Reddal, I want to come to you. This morning, the International AI Safety Report was being released, which is a long list of risks about the technology. Maybe you read it already. Maybe you asked an AI to summarize it. That's possible these days. What do you think that should be the driving the conversation in the next year about AI risks and the risks of the technology?
I think the main point here probably, so maybe just to clarify, the report definitely talks about the risk, but I was also talking about the general developments, right? Of like how far has AI come, like in the last half a year or like 1 year, depending which version you compare it to basically be able to get a scientific, snapshot of like where we are in the trajectory. And the risks, again, are of course quite important, because the more capable the models become, the more risky they are. Specifically, if you think about, integrating those models in critical infrastructure, right? It's going to be really tricky, right? If they're not very reliable, then you're looking at a situation where you cannot necessarily apply the general purpose AI models in healthcare, for example, right, or manufacturing, in lots of different sectors, including public procurement. So that's really tricky. So I think, getting to the point from before, actually, that's also where I see just the arc closing kind of again with the capabilities growing. So we are actually starting to talk very likely more about reliability, but not from a governance perspective necessarily, of like having particular rules in place and regulation, or simplifying those regulations, but actually from a perspective of even developing those models in a reliable way, in a safe way, which is not necessarily a given.
As promised, I want now to turn to the audience to learn if there are questions. And if you have one, please state specifically your name and who you address it to. There are very bright, shining lights. So if you have a question, make a lot of noise, or there is someone over there. several. There's a bit of a fight for the mic already.
Good morning. My name is Joost van Tam. I'm the CEO of Vertico ITS Europe. So pleased to have Akkodis as a member of Vertico, very much into European projects with Horizon and Digital Europe funding. My question is the following. I'm very much active in the automotive sector, specifically automated driving, AI. And what I see, we're going to start ECAVA, which is the European Connected and Automated Alliance, with the Commission this week. I see a lack of trust from the automotive sector, the OEMs, into European foundation models on AI, software-defined vehicles. There is no vehicle actually made in Europe with software from Europe. Actually, it's all driven by China, US, and others, and Korea. So how will the EU act to make it European-centric? And I know MEP was very clear on that one. It's not so European-centric that we should be, but I still am a bit worried to see the evolution on that one. Besides the workforce, with all the skills and the manufacturing side of things. But it's about software-defined vehicles and AI. It's not about hardware anymore. So thank you.
I think to who are to Mr. Benifei, or to who are you addressing the question? Yeah.
I'm not sure I understood the question, however.
How do you act to save this automotive sector, which was a brilliant sector still today in Europe in terms of workforce, but if everything is run by software and defined vehicles not from Europe, mostly, how can you repatriate this in Europe? Is there a plan for that one?
The vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Well, I think this is really about how we integrate EU work on AI, on building an AI ecosystem, and some historical and still there, luckily, excellencies of the industrial work in Europe, which are, for example, the automotive. I think that's why I think it's very important that as we work on increasing, and that's absolutely important, the computing capacity of the EU, and we work for building our model that, yes, can be a third way between US and China to be relevant by working with different partners, we do not lose the edge that we had on a certain specific industries, where now if we do not work with its integration with AI, we will see others doing and getting ahead. It's already happening in some of these areas. I know the point you are making, but I think EU can still reverse course if it takes the right decisions in the next months and years.
Second question. I really want to ask to keep the questions tight. There was a question there. So no lengthy statements, but a pointy question.
Hello, I'm Jonathan. I'm working as a Port of the Future advisor for Port of Antwerp Bruges. So industry focused, I would say, also to Mr. the MEP. Maybe a question combined with a recommendation. I think what I noted, and I've been in China last summer, looking at AI and physical AI and implementations, and you feel really the vibe of a good narrative. And I think that's a bit what we lack here. I don't know if that's something that's popping up more and more, but we don't have a clear goal or a clear... in China, you feel everywhere there is an industrial plan with clear spearheads, and they know what they're aiming for and what they're working on. And it's something we lack here because we tell all the aspects, and we like to discuss every single element about security and element. But we
so
don't
your
have
question is, where is the narrative?
where is the narrative? Where is the aim? Where is the clear North Star?
What's the narrative, Mr. Benefei? What's the
always
branding?
me.
Well, it's about the EU. I mean,
I think we should be real about the idea of having an open strategic autonomy of EU, which means building more sovereign technology, having the right mix of policies to not make our developers be under unfair competition. And this doesn't mean losing cooperation with like-minded countries. We just heard also from a UK ambassador, for example, what we are doing with UK. And I think this is what we should be doing. But I insist on my previous point. We say a lot of things, but actually we have a very, confused deployment of what we say we want to do.
Last quick question, a short question, and I give bonus points if it's not to the MEP, but to another panelist.
It's for whoever wants to take it. I hear a lot about China, I hear a lot about the US, and I'm missing the Middle East, which is, I think, very upcoming with all the budgets that they're spending on.
And what's your question on that?
What is your vision on
your vision?
the Middle East? Why I am not hearing about the Middle East?
Who wants to take it? One person. Yeah. All right.
Well, I mean, I think the EU is actually going to do quite a lot with the Middle East over the next 6 to 8 months. There's a series of FTAs which they're trying to build with the Gulf. It's not for me to, but we're doing the same. I mean, I think the Gulf is an important source of investment. So I do think it needs to be a kind of globalized strategy for both the EU and the UK. And simply assuming that you focus on one bit of the world will not be the correct answer to this question.
That was clear, and I loved all the questions. And I would love to discuss much more, but regrettably we're running out of time. Maybe as a last really rapid-fire question, and I will ask it to the four of you. If we're back here 1 year further, where are we? Where are we in 1 year? That's what we do. Yeah. Should have.
I don't know how to make predictions with a world where we wake up and there are allies telling you that they want to conquer your territory. So, to be honest, I won't make predictions.
Okay.
So I think we have better funding for certain kinds of scale-ups, and I think we have a kind of European/global stack which kind of intersects with the Indian stack, which intersects with investment from the Middle East. I think we'll find that quite a bit of that does happen. I think the challenge for governments like mine is to make sure we're part of that, and it's not just companies that are driving all of that, in the way that they are, for example, on autonomous vehicles, where you've got some excellent startups in Europe, and we need to make sure that their software is competitive.
Mr. Ruddle, AI governance in 1 year?
I mean, it depends, right? I think if we do what we do in this business as usual case, it doesn't look very great, I think. And I think the gaps just widen between us, so also middle powers, and compared to the US and China. I think we will feel the dependence much, much stronger. And then it's just getting a bit late with actually catching up. In an ideal case, what I imagine is that we have a coalition of middle powers starting to pool resources, right? Compute, talent, credibility, actually, and start rolling out, own AI capability, ideally. 1 year, that's optimistic, but.
Okay. Mr. Ambassador, for you in 1 year, the legacy, of course, the AI India, the summit in India.
No, let me speak in very general terms. I think the answer is very obvious. Technology is going to progress. It would deepen. It would give us more. And what we would need to do, and I hope we do it well, is manage the politics around that.
Okay. That's a clear, good line to end with, manage the politics around AI. I really want to thank all the four. First, before we close, let's take a look at the poll answers. The question that we asked the audience in the beginning was which geopolitical priority should the EU focus on for AI leadership? And I really have a hard time seeing it myself, but apparently the answer is investing in full strategic autonomy, as you also said, focused on open strategic autonomy. Thanks, audience, and I also want to thank the four speakers for joining us today. Nobody sent his or her humanoid robot or AI avatar, because that will happen also once, of course, in the future. Truly fascinating discussion, but thanks all for being here. And thanks the audience for your attention. Up next, there is a keynote on responsible AI. Thank you.